Hey, what's up everybody? BDF44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so before I get into what I'm talking about, I said 170 to 117. If we see a score like that, we got more to talk about than just the outcome of it. I think it's just important to correct wrongs, so just want to do that first. Welcome to BDF's channel, everybody. This conversation here is about the press conference that Russell Westbrook just had after the game against the San Antonio Spurs, and he mentioned that he was gonna nip this Westbrook disrespect in the bud. He's gonna stop people from doing that, and he was expressing how his experience has been coming to the games, dealing with the media, and just being made fun of, and how it's affecting his son and his kids rather. And it's real, man. We talk about on this channel a lot about how I think some of the Russell Westbrook slander this season is unfortunate. I'm not going to sit up here and say I haven't partaken in the tomfoolery, because I watch Skip and Shannon and I laugh just like everybody else. It's easy to do so, and that's something we have to be honest about when we have this conversation. It's very easy to look at Russell Westbrook's style of play and the way he's been approaching the game this season and make fun of it. He hasn't been able to get right. He's been making a lot of Shaq and the Fool type mistakes, a lot of unnecessary, unforced errors, and it's gotten progressively worse, as the season has progressed. To be honest, things have not improved. So, the most important thing I think we all have to understand is Russell Westbrook, while he isn't asking everybody to make fun of him, at the end of the day, he isn't playing well. And that is the catalyst for all that has come with it. I think if Russell Westbrook was playing sound basketball, there would be no reason for anybody to be making fun of him. He wouldn't be hearing no boos. He wouldn't be hearing none of that stuff. Now, can he control his play right now? I don't think he can. He could turn on the switch and make himself play better, which is one of those things that's you have to wonder about where his head's at, because obviously, with all that he's talking about, this is really starting to become a thing for him and his family. And the fact of the matter is, this is a Hall of Fame basketball player who really has absolutely looked his worst. He's looked as bad as anybody who's ever been in a situation such as his, where they've been a Hall of Famer and went to a new team and just couldn't get right. This is about as bad as it's ever been. So, I think a lot of it is psychological. Some of it is fit. Some of it is his body kind of going a different direction. Of course, Father Time, but a lot of what's going on ain't even that. It's just him. It's just him, and he has to dig deep, figure out what he can do to fix this issue from a basketball standpoint, or and this is going to sound harsher than I intended to, but or retire, what I mean, and alleviate his health and his family from what it is that he has been going through here. I think we see how much Westbrook relied upon his athleticism, and I always say, guys who rely upon their athleticism, if they don't ever learn the fundamentals, if they don't ever learn simple principles, things like that, get good coaching, they're not going to descend in a good way. They're not going to age gracefully. They're going to fall off a cliff, and we're seeing that with Russell Westbrook in a real way. Unfortunately, simple fundamentals and measuring certain things, distance and passing, and stuff that really seems to come easy for a lot of players, just seems to be very difficult for him. The rhythm from which he plays, trying to slow down to the rhythm of others, not rushing plays, those are things that are really poor to him. He's really good at manipulating the situation as it pertains to being so fast and kind of being able to keep the defense off balance at all times because of that speed and athleticism. He's so ferocious and so relentless that nobody could keep up with his energy, right? But at the same time, it's like when you rely upon that super speed and that super human ability, once it's gone, you realize that, the game itself has to be played a certain way in order to be successful without that stuff. And that's what everybody else was relying upon in the NBA. Some of those guys, throughout the years, they've mastered that aspect of the game. First person that comes to mind for me is a guy like Paul Pierce, who didn't have all of that, but still managed to get those same type of numbers, or similar numbers rather, because of how he played, low to the ground and shot the ball and fundamentals, stuff like that. Guys like that, they have to rely upon fundamentals. Tim Duncan, fundamental guys. And that's where Westbrook is really poor. And so trying to get him to learn the fundamentals at this stage in the game so that he can make the game simple for himself, so that all of this can trickle down to him not hearing the boos and not getting made fun of. I don't know how feasible all that is. It might be just more reasonable for him to just call it a career, to be completely honest with you, than to think he's going to figure all that out right now. So do I think it's fair that people make fun of him? No, not as it pertains to the type of relentless, everyday pointing out his weaknesses and stuff like that. Nah, it's not. It's not fair. It is entertaining. It's not fair. But this is the world we're in, man. This is the world we're in, and it's just unfortunate that some people have to take the brunt of other people making fun of them. And when those same people snap, then everybody acts all appalled. But at the end of the day, I respect that Russell Westbrook is a man first. He's a man with a family, proud family that does not want their name dragged through the mud. And this is a bad look for the Lakers as an organization. I hate to say this, but it really does reflect poorly on them, not as a front office, but just the organization and what it means to be a Laker, because it once again is a understanding that not everybody can put on a uniform. I mean, like, they can't. I'm just going to say this, and I'm just going to let it be. I think I've said it before, too. I think the lights are just a little too bright for our guy, Russell Westbrook, man. I don't think this uniform was good for him in this circumstance. Now, obviously, if he had his athleticism and his body was still doing what it needs to do, then he could do what he needs to do here, and it wouldn't matter because he would be able to overcome it with ferocious energy. But to be in this situation without your superpowers, I don't like this for him going forward. I think that he would be playing much better if he were in a different uniform. Even under the same circumstances, even under the same coach, small ball, all that. I think if all of this was done in a Timberwolves uniform, half of the anxiety would not appear to be there. Half of the jitters and the bumbling and fumbling. I mean, he don't have some of those same issues. I'm going to be honest with you. He don't have some of those issues on the road. They seem to only occur at the Crow, at Crypto.com arena. So it's like, I really do believe that, the pressure for a lot of guys is just too much to put on the purple and gold, man. And it ain't just the uniform, obviously, in the history. It's the attention. It's the Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharp, first take every morning. They're talking about this team, whether they're any good or not. Like, it gets to a point where people are going to get tired of hearing their name dragged through the mud like this. Russell Westbrook says he's been dealing with this his entire career. No, you haven't. And I know that's not the truth, bro. No. You ain't been dealing with this your entire career because you ain't played for the Lakers your entire career. People have talked about Russell Westbrook as it pertains to how amazing he is as a triple-double threat. Half of us didn't even know you average 4 turnovers, bro. We didn't even know this. Like, literally didn't know this. And they say that his numbers haven't fallen off the cliff. Are you sure? Because the Russell Westbrook we were seeing from afar was explosive MVP winning all-star every year. We figured he could handle, this situation because he puts up enough stats for 3 players. I mean, That was really the appeal of the player. The fact that he can give you a triple-double every single night. Even when he doesn't score a lot, he can give you big rebounds and big assists. I mean, that's supposed to hold you down. You should be able to make it through a shallow team if you have a player like that, making up 4 or 5 different players' statistical inputs. He's not able to do that anymore, and we're stuck holding the bag as a franchise. So while we sit here and we feel bad for Russell Westbrook and the fit and what he's going through in his family, we also feel bad for ourselves because we can't make ourselves better. We can't bring him what he needs to assist us in being a better team as well. It's just all bad, and you just want to end it. You just want the Lakers to trade him somewhere in this offseason. Don't worry about getting the greatest return for him, but just moving on. A night like tonight where we really needed this win, you know, and a lot of the mistakes that were made by Westbrook. I mean, it just gets to a point where you understand, like, this ain't helping nobody. It ain't helping him. In his personal life, in his family, this ain't helping them. The fans, obviously, we're unhappy. The only people that seem to be enjoying this process is the people who are making money off of making fun of this guy. They're the only ones who are really happy about his Laker tenure. So it's like, it's time to move on. You know, it's just time to. I really personally want the Lakers to clean house entirely. But, you know, moving on from this contract, relieving him of the bullying and all of that, of the spotlight of having this magnifying glass on his failures. Yeah, that needs to stop. That needs to stop. Send him to a place where he ain't gonna get as much attention, so he can kind of age gracefully. You know, because when he was in Washington, he wasn't having none of these issues. But I tell Russell Westbrook something that really, I think he's gonna really have to. He's gonna have to take a look at. Are you regressing physically? Yes. Do I think a lot of what's going on with him is physical? No. I don't. I think some of what's going on with him, some of the bumbling and fumbling, you know, the can't get right stuff, I think a lot of that is psychological. In fact, I think about 99% of it is psychological. Because when you see the type of explosiveness that he had in one of those dunks that he had, I think it might have been against the Spurs. Hell, it might have been Jakob Poeltl he dunked on. I don't remember exactly who it was, but there was a game this season about 3 weeks ago where he did one of his old dunks, shot out of a cannon. And I'm to say to myself, if your body is falling off a cliff the way it looks like it has all season, there should be no way it has that in it. You know what I mean? It should. I don't know nothing about nothing, but there's no way a person who's falling off the way that he has should be able to do what he did in that play. So I don't know. I really do believe that Russell Westbrook is having a heavy time putting on this uniform and playing for this team. And I just think that when you relieve him of that issue, he'll be fine. You know, we talk about Ben Simmons' mental health issues and how some people don't believe he's having this, that, and the third. And, you know, how it's probably be just best for him not to tell people he has the issue since he's getting so much of this attention for it. You know, he'd probably be given the type of respect that he wanted if he probably lied and just told everybody he just didn't, you know, desire to play at Philly, rather it being a real psychological issue that he's claiming. I think the opposite is going on with Russell. I think Russell has real stuff going on up top, and I think I'm seeing it in the behavior. And I don't think he's telling anybody. I think he's doing a good job of keeping that to himself. I think he's trying to bull through it because, you know, I know where he's from and where you know you bull through it. You know, there's something to be said for, you know, mental health and being sensitive to one's mental health and one's own mental health. But then there's a line also that I think we've crossed in this era where we don't allow for people to be strong and overcome that. It's like we all cater so much to the mental health that we forget the part of it where you just fight, you know? Remember No Fear? Remember that? I used to wear shirts with big old bulldog on it that said No Fear. You know what I mean? There is something to be said for just bullying through it, giving yourself a chance to say, no, I'm gonna be strong right now. I'm gonna face this fear. Nah, I'm going through the phobia, but I'm gonna stay in the red here. I'm gonna be intense about seeing it through regardless. I'm gonna challenge myself to be here for this particular moment, even though I'm anxious and I don't want to be here. That part, now that we've grown more aware of mental health, now it's about coddling everyone who has those issues and making sure that those people feel as comfortable as possible. When really, healing sometimes comes from stepping out of that comfort zone and actually just defying it and saying no fear. I'm not adhering to the weakness today. I'm not adhering to my phobia today. And I think, I think Russell's from a place where that's normal. I ain't nothing wrong. I'm fine. I think he's from that. And so, like, I see the anxiety. I see it. I see he's going through. He's in his head deeper than anything that I've seen since Kwame Brown in a Laker uniform, honestly. And it's like, it when you see it, especially when you deal with mental health in your own, like I do. So it's like, I know he's going through it. He needs to probably be relieved from this environment. I know it's home, but it ain't home. Not the way he described it in that press conference. Not the way the game is being played out there. He ain't fitting here, and you could just see it. You could tell. And so I just feel like, I hope he's able to sort through whatever it is, find that balance of no fear and addressing whatever needs to be addressed on a consistent basis, so he can get what's needed every time he needs it, whatever it may be. And sometimes it's important for people like myself to just say, I see it, rather than wait for somebody to say, hey, there's a problem. No, it would be nice if sometimes people just see it. I see it. So with that being said, man, I wish Russell the best, man. I'm sorry he's going through all this. I'm sorry that I contributed to that with my channel in whatever way I did. I'm going to always be honest about what I see. And sometimes I get more frustrated, than I should, talking about these players. And I probably wouldn't say all that if they were in my face, I'm honest about that. But I think at the end of the day, I want everybody to know there's balance here. I got my own weaknesses. Just as I'm hard on players, I'll be hard on myself too. You know what I mean? And nobody's above being retorted. So if somebody got something to say to me, they should have the right to do that. But with that being said, I'm hopeful the Lakers can move on from Russell, man. I just think the Lakers need to bring somebody in here at that point guard position that can just, run the simple play. I think that's what I've learned to appreciate most from the absence of having a point guard down there that's really good at that. It's just, man, it's really nice to have a guy that just does the simple stuff. That's why we like Austin Reeves so much, because he doesn't complicate the game for himself. Part of his high basketball IQ is simplifying things and making himself just be available, and certain things that I think he does well. I think Russell Westbrook, if he were to emulate those things from that young rookie, and how he slows down and how he puts himself in a position to just watch what others are doing and then try to motion his way with the intent of matching what they're doing. Those are the type of things that Russell Westbrook just needs to get a lot better at in the short term. So, yeah, man, measuring distance, measuring who's in front of where the pass is going. That type of stuff is where he's really struggling. Coordination and timing, And so that's really what it is, man. The Lakers aren't going to help him with that. They're not going to help him with that. If anything, they're just going to keep things feeling as they are. They're going to continue to be as they are into next season. So I wouldn't play. If they can't get a trade for him next season, it may be best to just sit him. Like, I'm not going to lie. Because if he gets hurt next year, an expiring contract, it's worthless. It's simply worthless. I don't doubt they'll be able to get a trade for him, but I don't think he should be coming back out there, especially given the fact that he said he's afraid to bring his kids to the game now. It's like, all right, bro. All right. I get it. Laker Nation has been a little rough, but at the same time, this ain't that type of place, bro. It's not. I've been to many Staples Center games /crypto.com. if fans are getting on you, chances are they're the same people who would get on you no matter what, bro. They don't represent the real Laker Nation. They don't represent us like that. They don't. We're not like that. We're not going to boo Santa Claus. We're not, you know what I mean? That's not who we are. If we boo you, chances are we just want you to play better, bro. It ain't deeper than that. We booed Kobe. We booed Shaq. We booed anybody who didn't play well on any given night. I promise you. You dip into some footage, you'll find it. We've booed Kobe more than once. So, you know, who's ever being crazy toward his family and all of that, I don't know what kind of energy that is. That ain't Laker Nation, though. I can tell you that right now. That's not how we roll. And as far as everything else, man, you know, I think the tables are gonna turn on people like Skip Bayless. I really do, man. It's been fun. They've been able to make a real good living making fun of people and driving people's name into the mud and calling it sports commentary. But I know it's just cheap bullying a lot of times. And Skip has made a living doing this for a long time. And so tables will turn. It doesn't look as good to do that anymore. It's not as accepted socially anymore. It's just not. It ain't looked at the same way. If you could start to see, if you read in the room, you could see the tables starting to turn on that type of energy. So enjoy it while it lasts. Anyway, I've run out of time, man. My name is BDF44. I wish the Westbrook family well, and I'm out.